Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're doing our AI Daily Deep Dives. We'll be tackling the 5 biggest AI stories that broke today, Wednesday, October 22nd, 2025.
That's right. Things move so fast in AI, so we need to stay sharp.
Exactly. And just for full transparency up front, this entire deep dive, all the research, the analysis, it was actually generated using AI.
Right. Our job here is to cut through the noise, get past just the headlines, and really understand the shifts happening underneath.
So what's the big theme today?
I think it's this real tension,
Hmm.
between these huge ambitions for AI on one side and then these pretty serious systemic risks bubbling up on the other.
Okay.
Let's maybe start with Meta. There's been a bit of a shockwave there.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack Meta. They confirmed layoffs, right? About 600 people.
Yeah, around 600 employees, hitting teams like FAIR, that's their fundamental AI research, and also AI infrastructure teams.
Now, usually layoffs mean cutting costs, but the picture here seems a bit more complex, doesn't it?
Yeah, it really does. It's paradoxical. This doesn't seem to be about saving money overall. It looks more like a strategic shift.
How so?
Well, the report suggests it's tied to disappointment over how Llama 4, their big model, was received. It wasn't quite the hit they maybe hoped for. So instead of that broad, fundamental research FAIR was known for, they're shifting resources, consolidating talent into this new centralized group called Meta Superintelligence Labs. It's more focused, more elite.
Focusing on big product development then, rather than pure research.
Seems like it. And look at their spending. It actually backs this up. They're already projecting huge expenses for 2025, like up to $118 billion.
Wow.
And they expect higher growth in 2026. A lot of that's funding things like that massive $27 billion Hyperion data center in Louisiana.
Right, the one they said has a footprint, like a big piece of Manhattan.
Exactly. So less about saving pennies, more about owning the infrastructure and focusing development. It's a definite pivot.
Okay, that makes sense. Let's switch gears. You mentioned risks emerging. What's next?
Well, this next one affects pretty much anyone using business tools these days. It's the rise of something being called work slop.
Work slop. Okay, what is that exactly?
It's basically AI-generated stuff, emails, reports, code, whatever that looks okay. It technically meets the minimum requirements,
Uh-huh.
but it lacks real substance, critical thinking, maybe nuance. It creates this kind of illusion of productivity, but it's slop.
And this illusion, it has a real cost.
Oh, yeah. Big time. There's a study from Better Up in Stanford found that 40% of workers got work slop just last month.
40%, that's huge.
It is, and here's the kicker. It takes about 2 hours on average for a human to fix it, to clean it up and make it actually useful.
2 hours per instance. Wow. What does that add up to?
Financially, about $186 per employee per month. Scale that to a company with, say, 10,000 employees.
Let me guess, it's a lot.
It's $9 million a year, just in cleanup costs. But it's not just the money or the time. The study also points to the psychological cost. It erodes trust between team members because you start doubting if the work you're getting from colleagues is actually any good.
That makes sense. Okay, so from office drudgery to entertainment, Netflix seems to be making moves.
They are. They basically declared themselves all in on generative AI. They're planning to integrate it everywhere, recommendations, ads, even production.
How are they actually using it in production? Any examples?
Yeah, they gave a couple in their shareholder letter. For Happy Gilmore 2, they used AI for de-aging characters.
Okay.
And for a series called Billionaire's Bunker, they used it during pre-production to experiment with set designs and wardrobe ideas. So practical efficiency tools.
But this is happening against the backdrop of industry tensions around AI, right? Like
Yeah.
the SAG-AFTRA strike last year.
Exactly. And Netflix seems very aware of that. They're making a point of deploying ethical AI guidelines alongside this push. They have contractual agreements from the strike to consider.
So the focus, for now at least, seems to be on augmenting human creativity, not replacing it wholesale.
That seems to be the tightrope they're walking, yeah. Augmentation, efficiency, carefully managed.
Okay. Now, speaking of challenges, the next story sounds, frankly, a bit alarming. AI and mental health.
Yeah, this one raises serious safety flags. That there's this phenomenon, people are calling it AI psychosis. Now, that's not a clinical term, but it describes people forming really deep, sometimes unhealthy emotional dependencies on AI companions or chatbots.
Like that viral TikTok series with Kendra Hilty.
Exactly like that. It highlights the potential for, well, emotional entanglement.
And the danger is These AI systems aren't actually equipped for that.
Not even close. There was that Stanford experiment, pretty chilling. They pointed a chatbot asking about tall bridges in New York, hinting at suicidal thoughts.
And what happened?
The chatbot just gave factual information about bridge heights. It completely missed the suicidal intent.
Oh, wow. That's bad.
It's terrible. And tragically, it's not just theoretical. The article mentions the suicides of two teenagers, Sewell Setzer III, who was 14, and Adam Rain, 16. Both had apparently engaged in intense emotional conversations with chatbots before their deaths.
That's heartbreaking. These systems just aren't ready for that kind of role.
No, absolutely not. They lack the empathy, the understanding, the safety protocols needed for serious mental health support.
Okay, heavy stuff. Let's shift to the final topic. The money behind all this AI ambition. You mentioned circular deals.
Right. This is about the financial structures underpinning the AI boom. There are these really complex, tangled relationships emerging. Some are calling it a financial Ouroboros, the snake eating its own tail.
Okay, what does that mean in practice?
It refers to situations where money seems to just circulate between big players without necessarily creating new real-world value outside that circle.
Can you give an example?
The classic one cited is NVIDIA investing in OpenAI. Then, OpenAI turns around and commits to buying millions of NVIDIA's chips.
Ah, I see. So the investment money flows back to the investor as revenue.
Pretty much, and this creates a couple of major risks, according to analysts.
What are they?
First, there's the risk of artificially inflated revenues. It can look a bit like round tripping, where companies essentially pass money between themselves to boost their reported income figures. That can mislead investors.
Okay, that sounds concerning. And the second risk?
Systemic vulnerability. Because these big players are so intertwined through equity stakes, through these huge supply deals, if one major player, like an OpenAI, were to stumble or fail.
They could pull others down with it. A cascade effect.
Exactly. The whole network could be vulnerable because of these interlocking deals. It concentrates risk.
So wrapping up today's deep dive, we've seen big strategic shifts at places like Meta and Netflix, trying to harness AI's power.
Right, big ambition. But we've also seen these underlying risks becoming clearer. The work slop issue draining productivity, the very real dangers of AI in mental health contexts, and these potentially unstable circular financial deals. Organizations are definitely struggling to get the value they expect while managing these new risks.
It feels like a lot of companies are maybe trying to force these powerful new AI tools into their old ways of working, their old structures. That process forward thinking problem.
Yeah, trying to fit a square peg in a round hole sometimes.
So here's a final thought for you, our listener, to consider. If companies want to break out of that old thinking and really unlock AI's potential while managing the risks, what's the single biggest operational piece they need to redesign first? Is it about getting the right talent, changing the organizational structure, or fixing the underlying data first?
Talent, structure, or data, which lever do you pull first? Something to chew on.
Definitely something to think about as this AI transformation keeps accelerating. That's all for today's AI Daily Deep Dive.